Continuing on, Joyner Lucas was out promoting his album, and while out, he stopped by the Breakfast Club, and he said something about Eminem, which was very interesting. So I'm gonna play the clip first, and then we'll talk about what he said after.
And I always wonder, like, when you've had people do you dirty in those type of situations, has it made it challenging to form like deep connections with people, being that everybody might have their own hidden agendas?
Yeah, 100%.
Damn.
It started making me like realize like why niggas like Marshall move a certain way. You feel me? Because like with that niggas, like getting on the phone with him is like you could probably hop on the phone with Barack quicker than you can hop on the phone with Marshall. That nigga's calling you from a line where his manager's assistant is calling you from a 1-800 number, and then it's just like elevator music, and then it's like, please hold, Marshall's coming to the phone. You can't have his number.
Not that accessible.
Nobody has his number.
That's
He's not
incredible.
accessible. You can't talk to him. It's like hopping on the phone with the president, right? And it's like, I always wondered, like, why this nigga move like that? I had a conversation with him on the shoot of Lucky You. And I was in his trailer, and I'm like, yeah, man, like, anytime you want to talk or anytime you want to build and, like, whatever, just, you can hit me, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could talk and we could build on this music shit, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yeah. And it's just like, I could tell he was really like real standoffish, you know what I'm saying? And I would ask Royce, like, yo, why is he like that? He's like, man, that nigga's just been through a lot of shit. You don't really like, he's very closed off from people, right? And I'm just like, damn. And I never understood it, right? And it's just like when I started, experiencing this shit that I was experiencing, I got it instantly. I'm like, this is why this motherfucker he don't want new friends. Like, he don't want, you feel me? And it's like, I get it 100%.
And he was the biggest star in the world at one point. So imagine.
He still is.
Yeah.
That nigga ain't got to drop a fucking album. He's still, he can't just be outside.
Yeah.
He's not the nigga that could just be outside like that. He can't just walk the streets of fucking New York. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole thing. He's a big deal. Like, to this day, you know what I mean? And it's like, he moves like that for a reason, you know what I'm saying? He's not, you could probably, Jay-Z be texting niggas and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, some niggas don't know how to handle trauma and all that shit, you know what I'm saying? But I'm starting to get into the space now where it's like, I'm starting to understand why these industry niggas move. When I came into the game, like, yo, these niggas are weird. First thing I would say, like, why the fuck these niggas are so weird? But now I see why niggas is weird.
You got to have boundaries.
Yeah, 100%.
That was interesting. That was something that like nobody ever says, and I understand. So when I was talking with Benzino, when I did the interview with Benzino, we were kind of talking about how Eminem never really goes out, never really shows up to areas and stuff. And it never really registered in my mind at the level of fame Eminem is at, the level of success. Like, the reason why it doesn't really enter our mind, even Charlemagne, he said, was one of the biggest. He still is. And it doesn't enter our mind that he still is because he doesn't tour. He doesn't really go out. So it's hard to gauge if he still is, which is a dumb kind of thing to say because you're thinking, hey, this guy's the best-selling hip-hop artist, period. At one point, was doing $2 million a week. Like at that level, only select few human beings ever experienced that. And Eminem was one of them. So it makes sense that he's so distant from everybody because he attracts way too much. If you were to go out, like Joyner's saying, I remember he did a 60 Minutes interview and they literally had to like set up barricades. They did a scene where Anderson Cooper and Eminem are walking back when Anderson Cooper was on 60 Minutes, and they were walking, and I think they had a behind the scenes clip where there was like, it looked like they were walking in a normal like area, like just a regular neighborhood. They're walking down the sidewalk, but when the cameras behind the scenes looked out, it was a bunch of barricades blocking people because word got out so quickly Eminem is here that it's like Michael Jackson levels. Michael Jackson at any point, if you ever tried to go out, that's why Michael Jackson had this like little experiment that he did. It was a funny one where they created a fake grocery store for him to let him have the experience of grocery store shopping. Like literally, he's never had that experience because he's been famous his whole life. So they created a fake. Well, it wasn't a fake. It was a real grocery store, but it was shut down, and everybody in the grocery store was in on the joke that Michael Jackson was just trying to have a normal grocery store experience. So like a lot of his friends were pretending to be customers, and he would just push his cart, get some stuff, like pretend like I have a normal experience. At that level, not only do you deal with a lot of bullshit with people, but you basically alienate yourself because of how big you are. You don't get to experience things at a normal level anymore. And it's unfortunate. It does affect your psyche. He's probably, like Roy said, he's been through a lot of trauma with a lot of people. Doesn't trust a lot of people. So to get his number and to be access to him directly is only a select short list of people. I'm sure it's Denon Porter, Royce, 50, Dre, I don't know, his daughter, obviously. But that's it. Like family members, and outside of family members, it's probably just those 4, 5, 6 people, and that's it. He definitely doesn't want no new friends at all. I'm sure because he doesn't want to deal with any of that stuff. And at that age too, you're set in your ways and you're good. So it was interesting to mention Jay-Z, how Jay-Z texts people and stuff, but nah, Eminem, and I'm sure that's not even Jay-Z's real number. I'm sure that's like an extra number that he has, hanging around that he just texts random people from. So, Eminem at that level, man, to experience that level of fame definitely will change somebody. I mean, it alienates you because you can't do normal things anymore. So it's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is you're literally the best and the biggest at what you're doing, but then, that causes effects of you not being able to live such a normal life anymore. And that translates to your kids. Once your kids become older, and, obviously Eminem has mentioned Haley a lot. So Haley's got her own level of fame that, people recognize her, I'm pretty sure, in areas and say, oh my God, it's Eminem's daughter, So, yeah, man, it was really, really interesting perspective from Joyner Lucas. And I'm glad that he talked about that because that kind of just made me look at things differently, especially when me and Benzino were talking about how Eminem really isn't out there. It makes sense, man. At that level, like, being out is going to cause a whole bunch of commotion. It's going to ruin any event more than it would help, because what was it? Even Donald Trump, I think he was going to a UFC event as president, and he told, the owner of UFC, Dana White, he's like, you don't want me coming to these events because they're the whole FBI and everybody that, that protects the president, they're going to flip the whole area up and down. They're going to have to do their own security measures and stuff, and it's going to be a whole hassle. But at that type of level, like, it's going to cause a lot of commotion. It's going to cause a lot of problems. So shout out to Joyner Lucas, man, for kind of detailing that story, because a lot of people don't really think of it from that perspective or forget that Eminem is at that level because of all the years he's taken off from like traveling and stuff and touring. So,